We're good. Yeah.
March meeting of the fire commissioner for water, get up for the pledge and put sounds here. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all.
Welcome everyone to the March meeting, March Fire District. Roll call.
Here, Rich, Nick,
Here.
Dan, here, Brian, here.
Moving on to public session for agenda items only. Public session for agenda items only. Not seen anything. Move on to the district building report. Chief Castillo.
Only a couple things tonight. The biggest thing is, ATM glass was in the other day, got that glass between the ready room and the engine room, installed and completed. Harbrook installed the big window that is for the outside of the ready room. They have a little bit of taping and patching and stuff to finish up, but they'll put the third coat on this week and then they'll paint that wall so it matches everything. Quality is around doing a bunch of little touch-up painting. If there was a list of things that came up, so they're finishing up their work. And Dynamic will be in next week to do remaining things on their list with lighting. And the biggest issue we have right now is we're still dealing with the 2 signs. And hopefully on Wednesday, we'll have a resolution to that because that company is gonna come Wednesday and try to figure that out again, so.
Is that the break up?
Yeah, they say with the emails that we got in the last couple of days, the technician that they have, they took him out of mothballs. So he knows, he's an aged guy, so he knows the system and hopefully he'll have answers for us. But I mean, Bobby and myself and Eddie and everybody's been in the loop there with Emma for the last 2 weeks trying to figure that out, so. If we hear anything, she'll be the person up.
Thank you. Do you have anything to add, Bob? I know it's been busy.
Yeah, I mean, we just have a lot of things in progress that were on that, so to say, that big expanded list from the leadership of the fire company. The tinting is scheduled, the blinds are scheduled. I'm still waiting on a quote for the AV system. I think I sent that out to everybody today, so you could see that, right, Jay? That thing I sent you today about some of your questions.
It's just as high.
Yeah.
Totally.
So, but you know, we're gonna have a actually sit down and discuss the AV solution. You know, we can get Dan and his group and people involved to see what we really have to do to satisfy what they need and, you know, what the district wants to spend. But other than that, the money end of it, we're doing well. Hopefully next month we can get closer to closing this out. But, you know, we still have some ongoing projects and Mel, who's going to be doing that tin work and putting the rock wool and everything up around the plenum, you know, the heater duct work, that should probably get done this month. So. A lot of progress.
I think
Moving on to Park President report, or the DOT's President report. I'm excited. I know you're
So we have 1 application pending background investigation and possibly up to 2 more coming, which is good news. Our recruitment and retention committee is preparing for the Recruit New York Day, which is going to be here on April 26th. I know Chief Sheehan has, I believe a couple purchase requests for the district through the recruitment budget, and hoping to get those approved. I directed our committee to our recruitment to reach out to the wine skill committee and start putting together some coordinating concepts, events, purchase requests, so that way we're all on the same page. Emily and her team has already reached out to Chris and his people, so there's communication that's being put together, which is good to see. We had an idea here to try and market the recruitment event with a pre-event video type thing. And tonight, myself and some members of the recruitment team met with Art Hunsinger from Hudson Valley Community College. He runs their media department for the college, and they've offered up to, at no cost, produce a media package for us. So my team is going to be talking to the Lions Hill team and hopefully coming up with something that we could be able to put together a joint package for presentation prior to the event, try to market it out, social media or for the news. So hopefully that's something that'll follow through and work out for everybody. 2 facility use requests were filed. One is from firefighter Robert Shackleton for using the pavilion on July 29th for a birthday party. The second one was for Pam Belschwinder to use the meeting room and kitchen for a bridal shower. There was a date on that one. That's in October, on October 11th. So we're looking to get those approved. Also, so the district is aware, after several notifications for our constitution and bylaws, we had 3 members dropped from our roles. 2 were firefighters. One was firefighter Rose Joe Keel and firefighter Raven Gonzalez. And then the 3rd was supporting member Nate Ferreira. All have been non-active for about 6 months or so and didn't pay their dues, so they've been dropped from the roles. Here. We did file our paperwork with you regarding the LoSAP report for the year, and I want to report that we had 1 member take a safe serve alcohol serving class, which is similar to the old TIPS program that we used to follow for internal serving of alcohol events. So I've asked our house committee to all get certified the same way, so that we have documentation of alcohol serving training. And our property committee is planning to hold the station work detail on May 5th to open up the pavilion and complete a whole ton of things here in the station. Upkeep items and repairs, small repairs. That is it.
Thank you. To the Lions Hill president.
Yes, so in the notes we put in here, Sean, do you know, we're trying to find the key for the old district cabinet that used to be outside.
Yeah,
You're the best.
I was gonna ask the board, is there a way if we share that space then with them? Is that board outside of the office?
I don't see why not.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yep. I'm just gonna scan down through. So Connor Farnham, which was brought up, was voted in active membership. We have 2 new potentials, Chad Castle from Fort Avenue in Troy and Nicholas Brock from Powell Street in Winesville. We turned in our 2% tax submission. That's all been taken care of by the deadline. We have 1 building use form request turned in for Ronnie Monroe for a baby shower. We turned in our LoSAP report. And we are working on a recruitment orientation booklet, so we're trying to get the draft done. So once we get a draft done, we'll share it with you guys too. It's a pretty cool idea. We're trying to, it markets the fire department. It gives a mission statement of how long we've been in business and what we do and all that. We're hoping that'll help the recruitment side of it. There's going to be probably some cost to it, but we think it's going to work and help us start to recruit people. Plus, it'll answer a lot of questions that are out there that if you don't ask, they're looking about training and stuff. Once we get that draft, get that copy of that draft. And thank you for the continuous work on the renovation. I know we're getting there. We're getting to the end. So the painting looked very good that they did today, so. And that's what that.
Motion to approve the three bill use. Two for the three bill, one for the wine bill. Favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving on to approval of prior month's minutes. I don't know if everybody read them. Hope you did, because I think there's an error.
Okay,
So.
what do you got?
In the motion at the end, you have us adjourning at 9:02, but we came out of executive session 9:32.
Oh, yeah, that's a problem.
Sure, that's my poor handwriting. Action taken.
So
Okay, so I'll change that to,
I was doing.
9:34, because I know Sean had said a couple things after, so 9:34. Okay. I will correct that.
But that, I don't think that the prior month's minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Treasury report.
Here comes the bank reconciliations for you to review and sign off on. Money market account has a reconciled balance of $1,167,989.07. Of that amount, $1,021,026.41 capital reserve equipment, $106,224.38 capital reserve building, $1,738.28 in this capital reserve repairs. We earned interest for the month of $1,526.06. The wine and still account, private account has a reconciled balance of $390,804.63, earning $607 of interest for the month. And the checking account has a reconciled balance of $1,260,806, earning interest of $1,525. All the bank reconciliations are attached to the treasurer's report. The final pages of the treasurer's report shows the expenditures so far year to date as compared to the budget. Also, we received a check from the town for the tax revenues of $1,778,199, and that was deposited on the 12th of February. Also deposited the Auctions International check for $3,776. Also deposited a National Grid check for $773.33. Also deposited another check from Priestville for $194.25. Then Bobby's check that he had referred to below was deposited this month in March. So you'll see it on next month's. Thanks, Lee. That's all I have to report. Until later.
Correspondence received.
Yes, received M&T month-end collateral statement ending 2/28/25. The Capillary Fire District Association, their annual officers reception, flashover training from New York State Association of Fire Chiefs on 3/29 and 3/30. Received a disclosure of interest statement from Dan Wilson on 2/26. Also the request letter from Jay Wilson from the Director of Rensselaer County Bureau of Emergency Services that for the AFG transfer letter request, which is under old business, and a check received by from me for Verizon charges for international charges for $87.98, and there was nothing sent.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
We didn't pass a resolution, except the treasurer's report. You already did pass a resolution authorizing the payment for this month's bills.
I thought he missed it.
Bills yet? All right, skip
Well, you
those.
said-
Yeah,
But when you get to that,
I'll get to that.
I gotta change something on that, so.
All right, so stepping back. Approval or resolution for the treasury report. Roll call vote for a second.
Rich, aye. Nick,
Aye.
Dan,
Aye.
Brian, aye.
All right, approval of the current month invoice.
I also, I have to add on another $254,571.89 for the interest on the bond for the DFD that was paid on, March 1st, and the interest was $84,571.89, and then the principal of $170,000. So the new grand total for all of our expenditures would be $336,046.42. Thank you.
Get a resolution. Very much. Yeah, no, screwed up.
I was trying to help you out, I'm sorry. Resolution to pay.
Get a resolution to pay the, current month invoices and what's showing, just add it on there.
So just one thing on the invoices, I don't have a problem with approving it. Can we get a voucher for jail?
Yeah, I don't.
For his-
Excuse me?
Can we just get a voucher for, I don't want to hold it up. but
Yeah,
can we
yeah,
just-
he usually does give me a voucher. It wasn't, we don't have a mailbox over there, so we gotta figure out.
It's a mailbox now.
Where's the mailbox?
There's a mailbox
Oh,
in the
okay.
office.
I mean, our mailbox.
No,
We used to have a mailbox
for him
outside.
outside.
Okay, yeah.
So if he can just transfer this over, at least it should have his name and everything on it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's usually picked up.
Yeah, that's all. But otherwise, no question.
So you first, I'll second. Although,
Rich? Nick?
aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Brian?
I abstained from one because I'm getting a reimbursement for gym membership, otherwise I for everything else.
All right, old business, the, AFG transfer of equipment from the Mercury Fire District to the Rensselaer County.
Yeah, so I talked to Terry about that, and Terry can do a municipal agreement with the county. I think this correspondence goes back maybe a couple months ago when we spoke to Alvin, Mr. Alvin from FEMA, and he just set forth the procedure, and the county does meet that. So, we're well within our limits to release in that equipment. We don't need to hold it any longer.
I just have a question, maybe it's curiosity. Why is it that FEMA needs an agency EMS number to transfer equipment that has nothing to do with EMS? It's fire training equipment.
Because it can only be transferred to a New York State training facility or a fire department or somebody or a entity has a EMS number. Rensselaer County Training Center, the Bureau of the Bureau is not a fire department, right?
The Bureau doesn't have an FDID.
Correct.
With the workaround.
It's,
Right, that's, I guess, it just didn't make sense. What kind of bureaucracy? What kind of crazy bureaucracy is it?
it's a workaround.
Right,
Resolution of
Resolution. And
I
Could you-
understand it.
Mr. Chairman, could you also just pass that there would be no further board action and direct the attorney to bless the document?
Municipal cooperation agreement for the county.
Second.
roll call vote.
Brian? Dan?
Aye.
Nick?
Aye.
Rich? Bob?
All right, moving on to new business, lawn care quotes. Like or two that came back, one for Sunshine Landscape for $8,040, and the other is High Tech Lawn Services for $8,465. We've used that High Tech, right?
We've had them for a long time. And Sunshine has bid on this. I let my record show 2 other times, and they came in very close every time. They operate their business out on Route 43. They're a local business too. We, yeah,
Before High Tech, we used to have Sunshine, they were our landscapers.
oh, were they? Okay, so they did wine scope.
Anybody have any issues? Resolution to accept Sunshine as our lawn care.
Make it.
I'll second it. Roll call vote.
Rich. Nick.
Aye.
Dan.
Aye.
Brian.
All right. Department chiefs report, DFT, I'm gonna, part one is in here, part two will be stepping in.
Yes, Chief, let me just, say this out. As I'm sure you're aware, we had a fire on Stacy Way, a structure fire a couple Sundays ago. District had a great turnout of, personnel. We had a good state there, no injuries and a good overall result. We'd like to thank the commissioners for their, monetary support of our installation dinner. Happened last Saturday night. That was a very good time. Couple purchases here this month were, some gloves and some bottles. Besides that, everything's going well. We did have quite a bit of, apparatus movement repairs done, and Assistant Chief Steer has that information. Spoke to, Premier E1. We have a pre-construction meeting with them scheduled for tomorrow, or no, Wednesday, I'm sorry. So the chief, myself, and, past chief will be meeting with, Jeffrey Key over there, going over the whole work plan and then scheduling an exact date to begin the project. So that's in the works. Also when I'm over there, I'll talk to them about scheduling 9/7 and rescue night to their annual PM, which is probably going to be delayed because we won't want to have, more than one big piece of apparatus out of service. So that'll probably be delayed a little bit. We're addressing an internal, a pump leak on Rush 9. But we have an in-house repair for that. That's planned. See here. Myself and Will Stewart, last week met with Clinton Heights Fire Department Assistant Chief Sean LaBelle regarding the Alpine software system. Bill and I started working on putting together our truck inspection module to use here at our station. And we ran into a lot of roadblocks and then kind of got delayed. Cracked it off of the project. We're back on it now. And Clinton Heights is exclusively using Alpine for signing in firefighters at alarms, doing their incident reports and all their truck inspections. And it's exactly what we envisioned it to be a year and a half ago when we started looking at it. So Chief LaBelle said he's more than open to coming up here and helping us actually build out the module to what we need, which is good news. So hopefully over the next couple of months, we'll have that up and running, and we'll share our findings with the Lions Guild. They may want to do the exact same thing and program their apparatus too. It makes it easier for the crews doing inspection. 9/7 had a pretty serious antifreeze leak over the header while going over to Mannerheim Mall the other day. We dug into it and I had to have Premier come over with a tech to dig a little deeper. The finding was that it was a factory error made, in my opinion, with manufacturing. A self-tapping screw was put into one of the header plates, which penetrated into the antifreeze line that comes up for the defroster. And over time and vibration, it wore through and created a minor leak, which once it built up the pressure, it blew out. So we had gallons of antifreeze spilling all across the header of 9/7, which included all the wiring up there. The truck is going out of service tomorrow. Premier, they're going to take care of the repair. But I did call Vandermolen and inquired if this would potentially be a warranty issue, and they said no. And I said, well, we're just putting something kind of on notice that, hey, this happened. This is a manufacturing defect, really. And what we don't know what the effects are going to be with corrosion because of the antifreeze being corrosive long term on the wiring up there. So to be determined. But that's gonna get repaired, hopefully it's gonna be a quick repair, back to service.
On to the Bicycle Chief.
Thank you. So you have my alarm and activity reports attached. 10 purchases, just the one addition was 3 SCBA cylinders. And keeping up with the fire duty around here, Lakeshore Drive Friday night. A little chaotic at first because we had a report that somebody may have been trapped, and then the guys fall to the floor, and so on and so forth. But everybody came home, nothing got broken. Waiting for the next one. Follow up from February's district apparatus drivers approvals that we put in for last month, so make sure they're all squared away. Excellent. Completed all of our sexual harassment training. Those have been documented and turned into Bob tonight. We had our CPR training done. 36 members completed that. That voucher was submitted. I contacted Chief Solution from Troy Fire after the last meeting. Had a couple conversations with him back and forth, and so starting tomorrow with the way new CAD is going to go, the way the GSI map reads, the 6 buildings that we had a dual response to, the way they're laid out on the GSI map, it's separated the 3 buildings away. So we would end up getting Fitz, Gibbons, Lang, and Higby, and they would take care of what the remainders were. So there's going to be no special box alarm or mapping they need to do down at the county. It actually worked out in our benefit with the way the GSI map works. So the dual response thing for Hudson Valley with them will be no longer after tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. when CAD takes off. I also put in for the duty crew or the apparel shop we started for the retention part of the duty crew program we're doing. That's all there for everybody to review. On the apparatus stuff, we had truck 42 over to Bulldog to get cross leg valves repaired. And while it was there were some batteries that needed replaced. They were taken care of. We also had Bulldog come over and check engine alarm again on Rescue 42. He said it was because of low coolant. So he filled it up, topped it off, and it was good till Saturday. Taking maybe to a Detroit diesel vendor and see if they can locate why this check engine light just keeps mysteriously going off, and we're not running into any problems. The coolant was fine. You know, there's oil's fine in it. It just seemed to be this kind of a sporadic, unknown reason why it's going off. So I think we got somebody who make an appointment place over in Albany or Colony and get that looked at by an engine place. Just to kind of stop worrying about it every month. With that being said, with the crossway valves getting replaced, a couple other things we had on the truck court too that we kind of did in-house. Starting next month, I advise the officers and everybody that once a month we should take the trucks out, hook them up to a hydrant, flow water in and out of the intakes, discharges, and exercise the pumps, so we're not running into an issue 3 months from now. We go to a fall and something doesn't open, or 6 open, 6 closed, and then we're taking care of it ourselves. Chief Wilson's bringing his managing from Ferris in a couple weeks. And then finally, Vanderheim Hall on 3-1. We went there for a fire alarm like we normally do. And one of the residents there was becoming an issue because she didn't want to leave her bed. After going in and explaining to her she'd leave, she gave me a hard time, she gave staff a hard time. She in turn then finally came out and decided to be very disruptive to a point where the police had to be called and she was arrested. She came out, threw a 5-gallon bucket of rock salt, plastic chair, a takeout container worth of food, then went over and found some rocks and actively assaulted a staff member's car with it and significant damage to it. And then she was placed in handcuffs. This is not the first time we've been up there for stuff like that. It seems to come in waves, but I don't want to deal with any more up there with them. And maybe it's time that the district and chiefs sit down with them and kind of form a plan when things go up there for emergencies. That, because a lot of times you get up there, especially in the warmer weather, the clientele is kind of roaming free and they're just kind of just wandering around. And it'd be nice to say, hey, listen, when we come up here, they need to go somewhere until we're long gone. Because if it happens again, I'm just gonna tell the guys to get back in the rig, drive down the parking lot, and when the dust is settled up there, we'll come up and figure out what's going on. Because I know our guys, our equipment, getting hurt, injured, broken, and it's becoming, like I said, a cycle again with them, with the clientele. So I'm gonna be in contact with them, person in charge, but to reach out to them, maybe have a little sit down to figure something out in the near future. Because like I said, I'm really not trust lately with them, the way they are. So that's all I have.
Good. Resolution for the uses for the both chiefs. I don't know if everybody had a chance to read through the Dropbox. I don't see no issues.
So we're all.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Brian,
Aye.
Dan,
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Rich,
Aye.
All right, go on the standing committee reports. Apparatus, myself.
Well, we had a Park Board 2 committee meeting last week, and it wasn't the greatest news. Originally and initially, when we had met with the vendors, they had said that, you know, they promised a great, this great ability to be able to take the ladder, the turntable, all the parts that we spent a lot of money on, money on the last few years, and mount them along with the body, or completely refinished, redone body on a new chassis. Now there's a question as to whether any of the available chassis for it will be able to accept take the axle weight. And that's the big question. And even though it's a bump up in both front and rear axles, it may not be enough. So we're waiting for an answer there. We looked at it, we talked about it, and either way, whether we use this biggest chassis they have available to us, or we build to rehab, or we build new, that's probably going to be the chassis we're going to be working on. So we've taken that chassis and we're going to start working on making it a more generic specification so that it's not clearly one, you know, it's not a one, we don't want to put out a one vendor spec so that everybody looks at it and says, oh, this is such and such, we're not touching it. We want to make it something that you know, people can bid competitively, and we can get the best price we can. Additionally, we'll, you know, if we get beyond that, before they come back with an answer, we'll start talking about what we want to do with the rear. We were very close with the vendor and told them that, you know, you set us back about 7 or 8 months. And 7 or 8 months in this business is money. And they were well aware of it. They weren't very happy with what they were doing in their engineering. And they indicated that they're going to put the pressure on them to see what they can get. The one person involved says he has a belief, and he's been doing this for years and years and years, indicates he thinks the numbers are going to fall to our side. He thinks the engineers are just being overly cautious right now. So they have all the numbers in front of them. So fingers crossed, hopefully that moves along and we can continue on the process we're doing with it. They did indicate though, which was interesting, that the day we sign a contract, and whether this is a contract to rehab it, rebuild it, or a contract to build it, he indicated probably the case with both vendors right now for aerial, 800 working days. 800 working days from the date of the signed contract. So we need to keep moving on this because we don't know what the life expectancy of what we got now is. And we need to keep plugging away at this. So you have to work, and they're not, they're writing contracts such that they're either building cost escalators into them or they're building prices to take the places of cost escalators. So it's either way you're going to be paying for something, we're going to be paying for something that's going to be prices for 2 years out. So it's not the most pleasant information, but we're going to keep plugging at it and see what we get. I know the rehab work Jeff reported out on the rehab work is getting ready to start on Rescue 9, or I'm sorry, 9-6. And we're seeing some movement that a similar plan is being developed for Rescue 4-2. Both of those were budgeted, planned for, et cetera. So we want to see. So other than that, that's I support.
Do you have anything for Rescue 4-2 at all yet? Yeah, anything?
We haven't received anything.
Oh.
Yeah. The last conversation on it was we supply all We supplied the specification that was done when Rescue 9 got rebuilt a couple of years ago. And we've supplied all the information that was done with the 96
If
committee.
you haven't heard anything back yet from anybody,
So it just kind of was a model as to.
right, if you haven't heard anything back from those
I
guys.
have, no, I would feel they would have gone through you.
All right, so we'll just restart over again, we'll put something together and actually start getting that working. So when that truck comes back, we're ready for the next one and we're not delaying it anymore.
Okay.
We'll start that this month.
Very good, sir.
The only question I got, going back to what Jeff said about 9/7, should we be proactive and have Premier look at 427, make sure that the same screw is not in the same spot?
Yeah, I think so. I think we ought to look at that. I don't know that we should just blow it off with a phone call from somebody at Vanderbilt and say, no, we're not gonna cover that under warranty. I'm not too pleased with that. That's clearly, that's not a,
It's a manufacturing defect.
it's not some, it's not a part that wore out. It's not a part that failed. It's not a part that broke. It's a screw that, I think we get a written report from, Premier is doing well. The written report from Premier, go back to Vanderbilt and say, this is what it costs to fix it. Now, he's not gonna be happy. He's not gonna be happy that we had somebody else fix it, but, that's neither here nor there.
We just go back to the person who built the truck and talk to them instead of meeting with him because how you said he's probably captive who did that. And he didn't build the truck, they did. You go back to the manufacturer.
He's the salesperson. We'll deal with sales.
Well, he's a dealer, right, but he, like you said, we already went to somebody else with the truck to get fixed. They go back to the actual manufacturer and say, hey, here's the issue we're having. Right, at least somebody above them.
We don't, Jeff, who'd you talk to at Vanderbilt, do you know?
It's Mike,
Bone steel.
Mike Bonesteel, and I sent him pictures of the area of where it happened.
I just don't know how much benefit there is in kicking up dust over it.
Well,
I asked him specifically to send something to the factory that it should go to quality control or engineering or whatever. To saying, hey, this happened at this department, it's likely it's happening all across the country and maybe nobody's knowing about it because by the time it wears through, it's 3 years, 4 years later.
Or it's a fluke that happened once, but. Which,
Very well could be. There should be some sort of backing
We have-
behind where that screw went rather than.
Do we have any indication ballpark as to what this covers?
I don't have it right, but they're gonna replace the hose going from the manifold, on the manifold that we have to open and close every season for heat to go up into the, exchangers. He's gonna replace that hose from there all the way up, rather than just do a pattern. Like a good chance that there's other screws that could be.
That's gonna be, yeah, they're gonna pull down the headliner and they're gonna have to open up the.
But they're gonna replace all of that, and then they're gonna make sure that wherever there's a screw, that in that area.
I still don't see the harm in telling Vanderbilt, if they're the dealer, they may not be responsible now, but it may be like you have a car that's out of warranty, you go to the dealer that you bought it, and they may say, sorry, we can't help you, you gotta call Ford directly. That's up to them to tell us that, at least maybe they could point us in the right direction. We contact.
Yeah, I just, my gut tells me, and I may be wrong, that he's gonna say, oh, well, bring it in here, we'll do whatever we can to take care of it. And it's too late to do that, so.
I asked that question.
Well, it's about a 9/7 thing, they would take all that care of.
same way.
Not too late with 9/7.
And that's not a good conversation.
No, I mean,
Conversation.
427. It's not too late with 427.
No, not at all,
No, but I mean, I think Vanderbilt should be told that.
Want me to call later on?
Yeah, if you want to.
Jeff, can you send me what you got on it and I'll call him?
Jeff, how difficult was it for him to inspect that area? Was it a lot of work to get to it or?
Initially, I got the phone call that had happened, and myself and, SG who kind of troubleshoot stuff. We started taking apart everything because we were trying to limit fluid coming down on the radios and everything. So we had it, a lot of it apart already, but didn't find the exact leak until, the tech came, because I did call the tech when Shane and I were not finding it. I'm like, we need a tech here to go.
I was just curious how much labor would be about.
Don't know, he was here for hour and a half, 2 hours. And so now there's gonna be time added on at the shop when we take it over there for that. So it's gonna add up, you know, when you start talking $150, $160 an hour, add up. And then my biggest worry was what's gonna happen electrically up in there, because that's where all the switch controls are and things like that, and door monitors. There was a lot of fluid up in there. And we cleaned it all up. And then when the truck was going out to the structure fair on Lake Shore Drive, the crew got rained on again because it just sloshed around up in there, and now it's pretty well dry now. But yeah, it was a repeat of that fall.
I've got a financial report there.
Yeah, I'll send you.
Thank you.
I know the other thing, equipment, the air or the SCBA air compressor will be going online in Winesville tomorrow at 6 o'clock. We have training on it, so we'll see SCBA levels. That's a grab res equipment, building your grounds, Ryan, and
Nothing too much. I mean, it's more part of the long range, but we do gotta look at having the windows call and stuff that's coming up for this year for the station, but yeah, nothing really.
district personnel. Brian,
Annual raise for staff, we discussed this in December. I don't believe we ever took formal action, either way, a letter weeks ago from the chair to the staff, annual raise. We decided on 2%. Based on budget, I know, I had recused myself, but we're still working on the posting. So that will be executive session, but some other salaries might be impacted on that, but it would be 2% based on last year's.
Oh.
And if there's any adjustments, we would just prorate it. So, Chairman, I know we had kind of talked about it during the budgeting process, but we need to formally vote on that 2% since we. All right, so entertainer was met, I'll make the resolution.
Yeah.
For 2% increase.
I'll second it.
Rich. Aye. Nick.
Aye.
Dan.
Aye.
Brian. Aye.
Finance, insurance, and audit. So. Sean has something.
Yeah, I have a couple things. You'll find in your digital Dropbox under committees, copy of the annual report filed with New York State. So I'll run through it kind of quickly here for you. Checking or cash balance that we had was $113,510. Capital reserve, $884,952. Low SAP investments, $3,123,906. Accounts receivable, $949. Prepaid expenses, $23,362. Total assets of $4,242,290. Liabilities, accounts payable, $41,944. Accrued liability, most of that is the interest on the accrued on the bonds. $117,186. Non-specific spending. This is also related to LoSAP, $23,362. Capital reserve, $884,952. And again, liability side of the LoSAP of $3,123,906. And then unassigned funds, $50,940. That's subject to change, though. Okay, I'm still working with the CPA on that. So anyhow, our assets do equal our liabilities. And I'm moving on down to page number 6. Basically, our income statement. We have real property taxes of $1,608,704. Interest earned. This is also interest on LoSAP. I was a bit too excited about it. It's $129,739. Sale of equipment, $169. Total revenues, $1,738,612. expenditures, breakdown. Personnel service, $67,580. Equipment outlay, $97,808. Fire protection contractual, $426,077. Pensions, $131,293. Social Security, employer's portion of Social Security, $5,355. Workers' compensation, $41,824. Life insurance, because it's a prepaid, you see it, that was up above on the prepaid, I'm sorry about that. $6,477. Okay, so, for our bond fund, we had expenditures, $1,241,651. We had an inter-fund transfers. This is money coming out of the capital reserve because when we passed the resolution to the upgrade to WFD, so we could take up to $300,000 out of capital reserve building and use it for the upgrade. We didn't take all $350,000 out. I only took out $284,516 out, so we could still consider moving that money if you'd like. Anyways, the fund balance is $4,083,160. That's basically our equity. The budget information, well, you already know that the budget for this year is $1,780,199. Breakdown of that, public safety, that's the bulk of it. $1,415,930. Employee benefits, this includes like low SAT, cancer coverage, $364,469. The balance in the checking account for that WFD upgrade at the end of the year was $441,100. There was some accounts payable due on invoices that came in after the end of the year end of $60,286. Due to another fund, $95,611. So what happened last year is we spent money out of our general fund to pay for some upgrades. And it should have came out of the whole fund. So we don't do that money. Whoa, hold on, Sean. You're probably saying go faster, Sean. All right, and then again, it says assigned unappropriated fund balance. That's that money we took out of capital reserve, $285,234. Interest earned on that WFD fund was $44,647. And we have that interfund transfer. Total expenditures, $2,344,528. And the capital fund project balance year end is, $285,234. Finally, the K fund, which represents our plan assets, land $14,924, building $10,866,097, improvements to other improvements to the building, $195,815, machinery and equipment, $4,923,676. That ties out to the obligation following the OSAT. And then basically the rest of the report is just like the OSAT, the state's looking for like how much did we spend on financing, how many employees did we have, how much was spent on benefits for those employees, for the OSAT and so forth. Then the final report or the final page just, do we have a written procurement policy? Do we have a travel policy? Do we do bank reconciliations? Do we have an investment policy? Do we have an annual audit by an independent CPA firm? What was the statutory spending limitation for next year? $2,827,963. We were below that. We had a margin of $1,047,764. And then do we participate in the service program? Yes, we do.
Sean, the report and Dropboxes from 2023.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just gonna tell you that.
I'll email it to you again.
Yeah,
Sorry,
that's all right.
I'll email it to you again. So that was one part of the finance, insurance and auditing. The other part I'd like to discuss, or I'd like maybe Dan and Nick to look into this. So I was advised, so the interest that we're getting paid at Bank of Green County, they've been like taken away. Last year we were getting like 3.25%, now we're down to 2%. So I'm gonna try to reach out to them and have them pay us a little bit higher. But there is this cooperative investment through New York State. It's called, if you want to go on the website, newyorkclass.org.
What is it?
newyorkclass.org. And it's meant for municipalities, pool their money together, and they invest those funds. And for the month of March, it's been over 4%. So, I mean, you heard like on our general fund, we earned $1,500 at 2%. So it would be $3,000 if we go with this. And capital reserve, and we did on our long range planning meeting, we did consider that 4% and made a big difference. We did the budget by going up to the 4% if we invested with them. I would like to, out of, yes, maybe fairness, reach out to the Bank of Green County and see what they can do for us. They can match that, and then if not, I think we should maybe consider moving some of our funds over there, get a better rate of return.
Terry, do you have any other clients that use New York Class and any experience with them or comments?
Yeah, it's as good as any other entity. You might even find a higher return at a internet bank, but,
That's scary.
well, it does, but I had a district that got faulted for not investing outside of their community, and one of the arguments was they should have put it in like Signature Bank in New York that went under.
Right.
City of Syracuse had $125 million in that bank that they owned. So, but this it is a consortium. Yeah, it is. They seem to do pretty well. I said you could probably do better in some other places if you went online, but you're not. That's probably as safe if you follow the controller's guidelines for liquidity, safety, return, and whatever the fourth element is. I can't remember at this point in time. They're probably as good as anything.
Bitcoin, I think.
Sure. And everything.
Yes. Yep.
Thank you, Janice.
She just like suspended. We don't want to go there. We're not recording.
No, but that's it probably makes sense to move it from a low,
Well, that's all I had for that portion of the But maybe you want to wait to adopt the resolution for the annual report until I email this out to you.
and with respect to if you're gonna use a new bank, you'll have to amend your,
Investment policy.
that's that one too, yes, that's exactly, thank you. What Terry was trying to say was investment policy.
So you want to look into that New York Class a little bit more, Sean? This next month, and if we're going to take formal action, we can do that at the next.
All right, yeah, I'll start from.
Board.
And maybe if you talk to Green County between now and then, say we're looking elsewhere.
Yeah, they might, yeah. Because this time last year, we were getting 3.29%, so. All right.
The problem I was gonna have is brick and mortar banks and everything. I mean, they're great on the service side, but they're not gonna be able to pay you on the service side, so you're always gonna have.
Nothing else on?
No.
All right, moving on to long range planning.
Going goes.
Yeah.
In your Dropbox will be notes from our meeting we had last week, as well as a updated budget projection spreadsheet. So I'm not gonna read that part to you because I can only have one thing open at a time here. Couple things. First off, the committee was first formed in 2022. There was a report put together by Mr. Lasavita with the help of others on the committee and Bob. We do recommend that we review that. It's been 3 years for that document. Just go make sure it still reads correctly and kind of mirrors what we've been planning over the past few years. Broke this down by a couple different topics, but also One of the things in there, back Chief Burkhardt, Littlefield put together a purchase projection of items. Chief Wilson and Chief Sheen are gonna go ahead and review that, make sure they're still on track and make sure they don't have to tweak that. So I'll just break it up by topics. Budget, first thing we looked at was the budget. One of the first questions that came up was, can the district afford a ladder truck in 2029? Yes, we can. So we can dispel that rumor right now. There was some thought that we couldn't afford that, and that's not the case at all. But looking at the budget, in order to do some of this, we're looking at possibly another over the 2% tax increase, probably about 2028. I believe that's what we penciled in. Sean, correct me if I'm wrong, but
Yeah, the budget is available.
yeah, it's got one screen up.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying if they wanted to look.
He's got it. It's better for you to follow on the budget and just listen to me blabber for a couple minutes. But we're on track. We will have resources purchase both Truck 42 and Rescue 9. The 2 Tahoes were put back in for now. The idea being we're still unsure what we're doing with station keepers. We're not doing station keepers. We probably gonna need some chiefs to do the different duties, but that will be covered in a minute. So it is back in there. We still have several more years of basically paying down the low staff program. I forget the exact year, but eventually we'll drop down about $100,000 or more a year where we'll start saving money because we'll be caught up, paid up, so to speak. We do once again recommend somebody approach the town. I believe we were going to do it last year, it just probably fell through, but approach the town about a public safety fee similar to the town's green space fee. At least give the town the chance to say yay or nay. If they say no, that gives us justification if we have to go ahead and do a tax increase, whatever the case may be. So I think last year, Rich, you were going to come out talking to Kelly, and if you want, I can go with you. Start the ball with the town if you still want to do that. If not, I'll go ahead and take. Yeah, but at least we owe to the taxpayer to say we tried. I kind of we're on camera. I'll wait to joke again. Apparatus, you'll see some changes in the apparatus replacement plan. Rush 9 was removed from the replacement plan. Logic being, we're running it. I don't want to say running it into the ground, but when it gets closer to its end life, is a brush truck truly needed in North Greenwich? Are there other options? Trailers or UTVs, et cetera, mutual aid. So that was taken out of the replacement plan. Squad 42 and First Response 9, low use vehicles, running very well. They're pushed forward a little bit, forward meaning farther out in terms of this conversation. Same thing with 9-6 and Rescue 4-2 with the rehabs coming down. They're each pushed forward, if I remember correctly, it was 1 year each. The idea being we were sinking $60,000, $70,000 in each truck. And also in the budget, I believe we upped the rehab dollar amounts to $75,000 per truck. If I'm not mistaken. Again, Nick, feel free to jump in if I'm wrong on that. Truck 4-2, this is the fun one. Right now, the budget shows we're estimating $2.4 million for a new ladder truck. The ladder truck we're looking at 2029, if I'm not mistaken. I've talked to other departments that have ordered it. Lead times beyond, you said 800 working days, 3.5 years for South Glens Falls, for example. We're looking at that, and I know we're trying to find ways to save money by mounting a ladder on the new chassis. There's weight concerns. There's this. The engineers might not sign off. They might sign off. Every year we wait, plus this truck is like $150,000 to $250,000. We encourage the apparatus committee to, I would say, move forward and get this figured out this year. Down payment next year, we go for a down payment this year. So it's time we really just let's do this one way or the other. If they can't use a straight arms on the ladder, it's only a recommendation from the committee, but we need to do something about the ladder truck. It's an issue. Rescue 9, similarly, also you see, sorry, I should back up in the apparatus, you'll see the estimates for how much each one of these apparatus is going to cost was up to a more realistic figure. I think at one point it was 900,000 we're guessing for a rescue, now we're over 1 point some million for a rescue. So that's just the cost of doing business. We did talk about how, I believe it was last year, we were asking the apparatus committee and stuff, just come up with standard specs. A district ladder, a district rescue, and a district engine. Someone's like, hey, we need a new engine, here's the spec. Apparatus committee can review that once a year, which we expect that the actual already here in town, and it's already laid out. With the lead times and the anticipated time for a rescue to be replaced, I hate committees as much as anybody else, but either we look at a rescue spec or we start the Rescue 9 committee. One or the other this year, hopefully there's something on paper that we can, if it is a 3-year lead time, we start the ordering process in 2026. Because I don't know what the lead time is going to look like, but at least if we have the spec ready to go, then we can adjust based on the lead times. So that covers that. Station keepers. Last year, we were looking at the idea that at $20 an hour, the average cost of an FTE full-time employee is gonna be about $50,000 per employee. Because in our discussions, we're numbers from 2 to 5, we don't know what the number's gonna be realistically. But all we know is right now is if we were to do station keepers, we obviously agreed that it's going to start at the beginning of the year, just for the budgetary purposes. The other thing is we need to figure this out because it affects several other things. Are we doing 6 chiefs? If we had station keepers, they're going to need tasks to do. While there is a need for them, because quite honestly, the fire at Stacy Way or out at the lake happened Tuesday morning at 9:30, we have an interior firefighter problem during the daytime. So that would be the primary role, but there needs to be things for them to do. It affects the jobs of the admins, district admin staff. And honestly, if we have these people, we might not necessarily need 6 chiefs because they would be performing some of the side duties that some of the assistant chiefs perform today. So really need to figure out what that would truly look like. We do recommend a third-party study, if anything else, to look at what fits us best. We can look around town, around the capital district and other areas. Every district's different. Some districts have twice the money we have for a budget. Different call volumes. You look at Shaker Road, they're doing calls, all other fire districts are constantly doing stuff. So we really got to look at what we want to do because this honestly affects everything else we're doing. And the other elephant in the room is how do you pay for it? Well, we would be looking at another over 2% tax increase the year prior to doing this. So like we're looking at 2028 to do an over 2% tax increase to pay for keep our apparatus plan in place. You're looking at another over 2% cap increase to pay for these station keepers. Just for a point of reference, the last over 2% one we just did, that is about $170,000. So if you go with that $50,000 FTE number, that's 3 people. That's before you take into consideration who's going to do the HR for it. It's going to be a paid part-time district chief. There's going to be a third-party company. I know there's companies like out in Syracuse that run the HR for smaller departments that have these station keepers. So you can throw us back into another committee, but we really got to, again, move forward with this because one way or another, it's going to affect 26, 27, 28. It's going to affect the apparatus replacement. So our advice is, whether it's finding somebody to do the third party, but we really need to, again, just like the truck board too, we really need to get moving on this. Or just put it to the side, sorry.
No, quick question on that.
Sure.
It would be great to have a third party look at it because it takes the personal aspect out of it. But Terry, back when we were in the middle of the merger and looking at all the details, we were talking about how do you determine who the district chief is going to be. Briefly, we kind of batted around some informal discussions. Oh, would that be a paid position? And I know civil service was a concern. So with any of these, where does civil service come into play, if at all?
That's a great question. They changed the civil service law with respect to paid firefighters. It's 1 of 5 that had to have a paid chief. Civil service rules for chief, I have to check that.
All right.
I know that the town law provides where you can have a paid chief after a public hearing, but it doesn't say anything about civil service. So, yeah, I mean, like, there are small cities that have paid chiefs. But they don't have paid departments, but have a paid chief. So I believe you're accepted from that if you're not a paid department, but you're a paid department, then I think. But I'm kind of making that up right now.
And then with a station keeper, when the alarm goes off, are you then a volunteer?
Yeah, typically what happens is your station keepers are from other areas and they become de facto volunteers and they become volunteers here at the time the alarm goes out.
So there has to be an agreement with their home chief and.
Technically, no, but I encourage that because you as the host want to be able to rely upon their background. So no mandate that you talk to their home department, but it's a very good idea because then you validate the training, physical, the fit testing and all of those and know. If they become an employee here as something other than that, that's why it's firefighter. That's my station.
And one more thing, I know the answer, part of your question. Is that a lot of are using station keeper versus firefighter just to circumvent social.
Yeah, that's, well, not just, but there's certain economies of it, yeah. So there's a lot of reasons for it. But generally
Fire
speaking,
chief could be different, if that's the title.
Well, but also, if that requirement's still there that says if you've got a certain number of firefighters, you have to have a paid chief. Well, if they're station keepers and bookkeepers
It
and
would be a different.
candle makers and,
because they're not paid firefighters.
right, they're not paid firefighters.
There's probably enough opportunity in the capital work district to be a paid station keeper at 5 different stations, 5 days a week. If someone wanted to do that.
But we just need somebody to manage the HR, which is the main thing for the expense. So if we do this, you know, we've got to get a real look at how we're going, who's going to manage.
Well, I think the question came up, and I was gonna mention this in the operations. But you know, there's a lot of overlap here. Who should be looking at this? Should it be district personnel? Should it be long range planning? Should it be operation? Should it be, you know, where does this all fall?
Right, I think honestly, it probably comes down to, kind of like, it could be a joint committee, so to speak, but, you know, the biggest thing is we got to really nail down what are they going to be doing and how many are truly, I know, but we're talking about up to 5. Do we just start with 2 to get a feel for how this is going to work? You got to massage a lot of things here, you know, still the volunteer department. You know, you don't want to push away the volunteers either because they are kind of like, at the end of the day, you got 2 station keepers, they are still back.
One of the things,
So we got a lot to.
one of the things that got kicked around in the operations meeting is if you start with 2, you could do like, you know, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday in one station, Tuesday, Thursday in the other, and then the next week flip flop.
Right, so we just gotta, but the idea is we really should, once and for all, nail this down to what we want to do, just for, you know, Sean's purposes, just for the money side of it.
Yep.
And also what we're gonna do with the chiefs, because if we're not gonna do this, then we need to go buy a couple Tahoes or other similar type vehicles. I know not Explorers, I've heard no complaints about them, and I had the same complaint with the State Explorer that we had. Horrible. But we gotta look at either replacing chief's cars, keeping 6 chiefs, or we're gonna get this, and so we got a lot to figure out, hopefully soon.
Does the committee have a recommendation for a third party to do the study?
It just met
Not
last,
Just get a consultant.
Wednesday, so we're hoping to find.
I don't know, and please accept this right away. A consultant comes into town to tell you what you want to know.
Well, that was.
And I really, well,
That's why I take the personal feeling out of it. I think it was
Right.
more the whole point. We just don't want us to sit around. the room.
I understand that part.
We don't want to loan them our watch for them to tell us what time it is.
Exactly. Where'd you hear that before? But you know, and that's really what it is. And I understand that, you know, if and when the public is questioning, how do you come to this conclusion? You can hold up a report that says, you know, ABC Engineering and Research did this extensive report. And we know it's extensive because it's an inch thick and a binder. So.
Even if it's somebody who's trying to help.
Who we burn
One last dual response.
Cal's gonna take care of it for the district.
But you know, even if it's someone to kind of us with help, I don't know. Survey departments in the capital area, who has station keepers, what are the pros, what are the cons, some of the, how does it help? What are the challenges?
I don't know that we could list a con other than cost.
Give me a con.
I think everybody has recognized either the current need or the inevitable need.
Well, maybe what I meant was like, if we're gonna get a consultant or somebody to kind of help guide this. You know, the department may say, oh yeah, well, you know, we noticed when we got a station keeper. One downfall that we found was maybe we had less people, I'm making this up as I go along, you know, we had less volunteers willing to do other tasks that they typically perform. So I think there could be cons. But I mean, just somebody to kind of help gather this, maybe not necessarily make a recommendation, but hey, here are the facts.
Right, we just need to do our homework, instead of just kind of step up against the law, 'cause, you know, we heard for a couple of years that we did not take some consideration. Here's our, we already take into consideration, you gotta figure out, 'cause it affects so many other things. Where you're talking to say like a full road in other departments, get people what worked, what didn't work. Maybe we do our own little study, but, you know, should have we talked to other people around the capital
Right.
district, how it worked, but then it didn't work. pros and cons, but the idea is,
I think Homestead Fire Protection Company is from the.
well, maybe it doesn't be a third party, but at least do our homework, not just throw something against the wall.
We hired
Ed
Dave
Olmsted.
once years ago for some.
Oh, yeah.
What was that all about? I remember. Sean, you're the only one here.
We used Ed Olmsted at one time.
No, that was for the merge.
We had to redo that, yeah, it was mergers.
Who was that?
What did you say?
Dave, I'm not necessarily saying that's the.
He's got a company name, him and Hank Kalikowski, they got a company, I can't think of the name of the company.
And Ed, we hired for the merger.
For the merger.
By the time we got the report, we were
We had to,
basically,
you and I had to redo
yeah.
We retired.
Yeah. You're right.
So the only thing I got left here, honestly, so we need to start moving, what are we gonna do, let's just figure it out. So we get an idea what it, how we implement it, because either way, it's gonna be a year.
One of the ideas that got kicked around at the, operations committee meeting, I'll throw out here now, because we're in this round discussion right now, is that maybe this board should schedule a workshop meeting just to tackle these topics. And start spitballing stuff up onto the whiteboard or in the computer, and just start to, put together ideas as to, you're correct. And, I mean, if it was a workshop meeting, then, would be open. Doesn't necessarily have to be allowed to speak.
I mean, I know a lot of our thought was that, the members we have now showing up daytime in 3 to 5 years are not gonna be wearing air packs no more. And so, I mean, that's why we're trying to push hard for this. And like you said, it falls under so many different groups. And there's, no way to tackle it. But, I think the workshop was a good way to go, but I think at the beginning of this, we need to at least start figuring it out, almost like a feasibility study we do it ourselves to see, how many calls we're doing between the hours of 7 and 5 p.m., 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. And, average crews, we broke it down to ages and interior, exterior status, just to see, because we can't just keep throwing it against the wall here and say, we're getting 2 trucks off the floor, and we know those 2 trucks off the floor, guys over 65 and maybe one 30-year-old, so.
Bob and I have looked at Alpine software at one point with the data going in, there's no way to break out how many people exactly are interior or exterior.
Yeah.
We could probably ask them to do some programming that would get us that data by looking at personnel records and then looking at attendance records and then looking at farm records. And
If you had-
some kind of statistical report, but we have to pay for that, some of that report.
Or yeah, all the lunch fees.
The other, how do you track the age of the responders? Okay, because even if you have interior and exterior, you got all the exterior guys are like late 50s, early 60s. Okay,
Late 60s.
you know what I'm saying?
Well,
You're gonna age out real quick.
That's what I said, is that we could pay the software company to go into the personnel records, to look at that data, to look at the alarm records, and we can come up with that report, but it's probably gonna be an expensive report without buying it together.
I kind of like the committee's recommendation of a third party. Depending on the cost, but I think at this workshop meeting, at least if people can kind of come with some ideas or names of people to do it, because this is a huge step.
Change the direction.
And, you see what it would cost, and then I think you make the final decision, do you want that third party to do it? But I think even if we have our own in-house committee, people's schedules, calendars, who's gonna call this one, who's gonna call that one, it's gonna take a while.
Yeah.
I think this will expedite the process. So maybe they're not giving us a recommendation, they're just gathering facts.
I think we owe it to the taxpayer that, we have to raise it in 3 or 4 years, 10%. Look at, we hired a company, just us wanted to
Right.
collect a, paycheck here, pay somebody that, we did our study, and it's, we want fire service to show up in a timely manner during the day. This is what we need to do, so.
Terry, you dealt with anybody like that before?
I mean, there's the same group out there that does it. I mean, I think where you're starting from is, I think you've got an easier task. Like, you want to know how many interiors or exteriors, you don't need to pay software to do it. You already manually handle the reports, you know?
Yeah.
So
No, I
you
think
add to
once-
that, and then you just have those people, but I know, in terms of an outside, side, I think you need to be farther down the road with what you want them to tell you. Because right now, you're just kind of.
But also, there could be, sometimes you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, but I don't think you have enough of a focus now to put out an RFP for.
No, but I mean, just in general, like some names and, hey, look, we're kind of thinking about this and
Yeah,
people who've done this kind of thing before.
yeah, they generally, there are, I haven't done anyone with respect to the paid station keeper side. That's usually kind of an organic outgrowth of the HJ. But, you know, they're all out there. I mean, it's a question of how far away you want to go. But I think you need to, get this a little more managed to do, what you can do, what you can't do. But yeah, I certainly wouldn't, like I said, because you manipulate the data yourselves before it goes into the computer, it would be very easy to track interior and exteriors, I recall, going forward, starting whatever. Yeah. You know, the sheet have you tell people, right? So I mean, it is. Yeah, between now and the next meeting, I'll try to get names. Probably need to do the truck spec, fire department spec.
So the idea is we need to, again, just like the truck, let's get moving. LoSAP, we started looking at going to defined contribution or the benefit program. We had people in here from BFIS last year. Trying to first 3 months, I know it's the new year and everything, but we recommend we continue looking at changing the LoSAP over to the contribution. Longer term savings, also just find out more information. I know the rest of some questions, and it seemed like the BFIS person didn't necessarily agree with other people at the table. So, you know, we look at that also going forward. And the building came up in that 2022 document. There's a bunch of different dates where things are due on, you know, where's the roof or whatever on the different stations. We asked the chiefs, and I'm sure they'll take back to the presidents also look at that document and make sure the future expenses for the buildings, like again, like HVAC, boilers, stuff like that, is still on track. I know some of the stuff in the document say farther out, but was done during the electrification project. So in summary, good meeting. We kind of highlighted that we do need to get moving. Things are getting more expensive, and if you want to add anything else to it,
I just want to touch on, when we did this, I know Bob wasn't around, but I don't know if you guys remember how much we were in the red for a lot of years.
Yeah.
And we've done a lot of work with, you know, raising taxes and being mindful of spending that we're down to 2 years where we're going to be tight. You know, I think that's after a ladder truck purchase and then Rescue 9 purchase. So that's why, you know, we're already on tax raising for years. It's worked long and hard on this. You know, we've gone back, we've had a change of leadership, and, you know, they agree with what's been written before them, and, you know, they don't see anything wrong with what we're trying to do moving forward with the replacement. So it was job well done, and like Brian said, we just need to stay on top of it, and, you know, right now just get the station keepers nailed down, because it's coming, unfortunately. I don't have anything else.
that's all I got.
Policy, procedures, and membership. You have an executive session?
Nothing for here.
Nah,
So we have-
but I also have, an application for Connor Barton for, line skill. Yep. Second by, all in favor?
Yeah.
Approved, and then do we have to act on the drivers too, right, Bob? And then I need a motion, there's 10 applications for drivers, that we update.
Were they? I didn't know how we were being listed.
They're all in Dropbox. I put all the applications in.
Billy Barber, Nick Brown, Joey Coonan, John Hanlon Senior, Valerie McMahon, Danica Navarette, Thomas Norman, John Rothrock, and then Jonathan Troll. Yes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, down to LoSAP. So we conducted the 2024 LoSAP consensus, and just so everybody knows how the 2% broke down. In the fire district, there were 67 members eligible for that made LoSAP, say eligible that made LoSAP. In WFT, we had 41, and DeFreeseville had 26. So we're seeing, unfortunately, a little decline on the DeFreeseville side, but I know you guys have a whole bunch of young members that joined and back up. Anybody have any add? Questions? All right, moving on. Development plan and review.
We're good.
I have nothing.
We just had a concept drawing of the little strip mall / brew pub and stuff going in next to the turnkey across the street, but beyond that,
I
nothing.
withdraw that.
Well, I just said a concept drawing, I didn't say anything beyond
I
that.
believe they withdrew that because of this, the sewer issue, is what
I heard they're waiting, so I've heard, yeah, different things
Yeah,
on
I
it.
think they're going with the warehouse in the back. That's it.
And the same thing with the bed expansion, I kind of got held up with for this, so we can figure out whatever.
Paramedic operations. We had meetings.
Yeah, we had a meeting, we heard a lot about it. A couple things we haven't talked about that haven't talked about this, I know. We did look at we did discuss the district response guide SOP. And there is a district response guide SOP that is way out of date. And it's got a response chart that still talks about where 426s do. And it's got a lot of other things in it that are just way out of date. So we talked about that a little bit, about bringing that up to date and having a single page response guide that people can look at and just kind of a summary. Each station has one right now, but they're formatted differently, and we really don't know if it covers it completely. It does leave some ambiguities and confusion, so we're thinking about doing that. But then in the discussion, it's like, wait a second, now we're revising SOPs and all that. Are we stepping on the toes of the procedure membership committee? And that's like, that's where this discussion about, well, maybe we ought to have a joint meeting, a workshop meeting to figure out how we're doing this. And one of the comments that came up was, does the Paramedic Operations Committee even really need to exist? Because so many of the things that the Paramedic Operations Committee talks about can get plugged into what other committees do. So I think, I'm not saying, okay, I'm making a motion to disband it or whatever, but it's like, food for thought here. Are we duplicating effort? Are we spinning wheels? Are we, obviously, we got a policy and procedures membership. If I go in and say to Brian, hey, here's this SOP that we rewrote.
I think we can take a serious look at eliminating that committee. That was formed shortly after the merger. We're in a much different spot, I think, operationally. It's 15 years ago, with departments working together, chiefs working together, and that's kind of why that was. I think you raised a lot of good points.
I think there may be a need, if we're saying we were to say somewhere that, hey, the chief's got to meet quarterly. The 6 chiefs, 5 chiefs, however, whatever we want, we got to be quarterly. And every other one of those meetings, there's a commissioner or two that invite. So that, maybe that, and then they can have these discussions. It doesn't need to be a formal committee.
This was kind of assisting with growing pains.
Yeah.
And I don't really know that you need to.
Okay, well, just something to think about. We can put that also on that agenda for a workshop meeting. What do we do with it? Where do we go? But that was the one other thing that came up out of that meeting that we didn't talk about at all. And I might be partially to blame for this, is that follow up with town utilities for some difficulties we had last year. Now, I had a conversation, an informal conversation with some folks over at Town Hall. And, from my observation, things had gotten better, or somewhat better. This new guy they got running the water department seems to really be on the wall. We just need to work with him more and, you know, I don't see the obstacles that I saw there. That just might be my observation, so I know that I let him into the scene down on, Stacy Way. I saw him on scene, Saturday morning out on, Lake Shore. You know, I saw those same guys out and they were out there doing their thing. We had a bad hydrant, they were doing their thing with it. I don't know if we're having the problems. Now, the questions that drove it back last year were the new water district out on 43, where we couldn't get a feel for what the pressures were supposed to be, and we got all kinds of excuses as to why hydrants were backwards and why we're having such terrible residual pressures. And maybe we were asking the wrong person. I think this new guy running the water department, we work with him on in a little better, work with him. Keith has really got his act together. The last part of the operations.
Good. Back to recruitment and retention.
Recruitment or retention, we have not met. Unfortunately, I had a couple other committee meetings I had to run this last month, and I had some surgery this month, so I don't know, busy and under the weather. I did get a request, I had it on my phone, ready to go, and then something else came up. Let me see if I can bring it back up. Got a request from the two fire company recruitment retention committees have been talking, which is exactly what we wanted them to do. They've got a proposal that just really hit my inbox today. For $2,800, $2,836 to buy two 10x10 easy ups. They would say on the borders under, they say North Greenwich Fire District or something, North Greenwich Fire District one. They would have company logos around them. They'd be different colors to kind of contrast the two logos because the logo colors are different. But we haven't had a chance to run through this. We haven't had a chance to get any competing bids. I don't know what we need to get for two of them at $2,800. Bob hasn't had a chance to look at it at all. I don't want to put it off for a month because we're looking at that April date for recruitment work. But if we could tentatively approve up to $3,000 with Bob working with the two company chairs to make sure that we've got good data and we've got all the necessary information, then maybe we can get these if possible. If not, it sits for a month till because it's just this came in the inbox today. So
Maybe Staples would consider gonna be an discount. They make those kind of things in their print shop. The easy ops. Never mind. I'm thinking of the banners that.
No. We're talking about a 10.
You like a 10. All right, never mind. You know what I thought you were talking
We
about.
approved the pop-up, we approved one tonight.
Right. Yeah.
But, I don't want to hold this up because I know they got some good recruitment retention work they want to do. But I do want to make sure we follow the policy. Give Bob a chance to look it over. We're asking us to spend the district money on it, rather than fire company money, so we got to make sure that we're doing due diligence. So if we can do that, up to $3,000 maybe, or.
So you want to have a resolution for $3,000 for fire prevention or recruitment retention supplies?
I have no problem with that. I don't know if anybody else.
I don't.
What do we have budget to show? I have to put them off the top.
7,000.
So we're not even talking half of it. And talking to them, this is likely the big ticket item of the year. There may be other smaller stuff, but this is the big ticket item.
I have no issue with it. We're trying to draw people's attention, so.
And if they're generic and say, North Greenwich Fire District, company logos, then they can use them for prevention. They can use them for other important functions. I mean, we don't want to see them dragged out for this level. But, it can be used for other important functions. And they don't say recruitment retention or fundraising or pancake breakfast or anything along those lines. I would make that resolution. We spend up to $3,000 for pop-ups.
I'll second it. Roll call vote.
Bob. Rich.
Aye.
Nick.
Aye.
Dan.
Aye.
Brian.
Aye.
Did everybody have a chance to go back and look at the financial report that Sean sent us?
I glanced at it when it came in. You do want the numbers.
Resolution, I think, resolution to approve the filed annual financial report.
So resolved, for a second.
Roll call vote.
Rich. Nick.
Aye.
Dan.
Aye.
Brian. Aye. Yeah.
Actually, I missed one thing. I thought I wrote it down, but I didn't. I did, and I skipped right over it. Business operation technology. The CAD system is going online soon, where we're supposed to be calling en route with our iPads. Now, down the road, this is the idea. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jake, because I know this is your thing. I know currently the iPads in the fire trucks, 2 of them only have cell phone service. What I'm afraid of, this, we get, something we don't have to act on tonight, but just get the idea in our mind is, you go out the door, 7, you lose service unless you have, cell phone service. So I think we might have to look into putting, I don't know, get iPads with internet capability or cell phone plan, but just something to put back in our mind, because if the county's moving forward with the technology, we gotta stay up with it. So that was
I
it.
just had a question for Jay, more out of curiosity. How many departments even have iPads at all, like we do right now?
Actually, quite a bit are
Do
gonna
they?
be using, yeah.
Like right now, I mean, are we like ahead of the game? Are we behind the game? Where
No,
are we?
you're not behind, because we're still loading, so tomorrow's we're actually, starting at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, more or less more on the law enforcement side.
Not even so much with that,
Down the road.
just in general, like with technology and our iPads and the apparatus, are we like ahead, behind
Oh,
others?
no, you're headed, but there's a lot of departments that are purchasing all the iPads now, getting ready for it.
And are they getting cellular?
Yeah.
iPads?
Yeah.
That's a pretty significant.
Yeah.
Reoccurring.
Now, do I think costs a while? All the departments, they might not have them.
And Nick, we did speak to John Manello, is it?
Yep.
And he said we have those spare Wi-Fi station iPads that we have that we can use for each of the station so that they can bring CAD up. Because the stations will be allowed to access the CAD. The 4 iPads that are on apparatus, the rescue and the primary engines, they are both all cellular. So
Look at 7 then, because I noticed.
no, it's cellular. We
One day when we would work on the mess with it on the way to the.
maybe it was shut off.
That's why
Maybe it
I
was
asked.
shut off. So, but we upgraded that
Right.
like 2 years ago.
But would it require us to have like more, I know we have like limited.
No.
data that we're buying right now.
Not, I'm not sure about that. We'd have to see how the data is being used. We're not using a lot of data right now, so we'd have to see how that is happening while the trucks are responding, because that's where in station are using Wi-Fi. So, we would maybe consider at some point getting 2 extra Wi-Fi cellular for the truck company and for 9.6, and then all the engines would have it on it. But right now, 4 are cellular, and we have enough for the stations as well.
Is that something that the county, if you're gonna have all these departments that need iPads, not that you guys pay for them, but in a large quantity, maybe you could get a better price, like some.
We mentioned that to a couple of the vendors that we were working with ourselves. They were supposed to like FirstNet.
Yeah.
FirstNet, put packages together. Somebody else is coming up with an emergency services package. I'm not sure T-Mobile or one of them.
I see them advertising.
Yeah.
on
Just
TV
started
already.
advertising it, so there's a couple.
It's like, hey, if we might need 500 iPads. Maybe I get a better.
Yeah, no, and we actually saved those 4 that we purchased for the apparatus. We got through FirstNet, through the, the kind of that they set up for Rensselaer County. And it was a group purchase, and we actually saved probably like $140 a unit compared to what we would have spent going to Staples or Apple. So we did very well. So maybe they would still have a plan, like you're saying. Right.
I guess Jeff, earlier we were talking, we're kind of catch-22 with our outline software. There seems to be a lot of need for more data-driven decision-making. All right, yet we don't have the data. We haven't invested in the modules because we don't know what the modules can do. So it's kind of like it's like cart before the horse, horse before the cart. Where are we with it? I'd really like to see continue to move on with what Jeff did with Jeff and I. Who went down with him? Bill Stewart. Went down and took a look at what Clinton Heights has done with it. Maybe we get some people to take a look at what Clinton Heights, what other departments have done with Alpine, and come back and say, hey, this does. There's a lot of kick to this program. I get the feeling, talking to Jeff, and I had a sidebar conversation with Chris Racine, is that, with our Alpine program, we've got $1 million fire engine that all we're using is the Indian tank in the back compartment. Because it's really, really powerful, and we're not using it to its nth degree. So maybe that's an overstatement, but the way Chris talked, this program will all kinds of, drive all kinds of data that we need to be able to better do things. Data costs money, whether you're paying somebody to pull it up or you're going to pay for the software. Still, as we said earlier, when we go to the taxpayers for tax increases, we're going to have to show numbers. I don't know if that's something IT folks want to take on, or how we want to do it, but we need to take a better look at Alpine and see what we can do.
I think, you're already looking into it now, Jeff, but,
Yeah.
I think we'll let Jeff just run the course and then report, if you report
Might
back
be a
to
better
us.
report next month, because Bill and I will be online talking with Alpine over the next month. And, we're gonna start doing the programming part in-house, which is the most difficult part. And that was big, what Heights was, Chief LaBella really took the bull by the horns and programmed it. Alpine doesn't do programming for you. You have to set it up yourself, but they give some guidance. Online guidance is marginal. But it's all right if I speak a little bit more. Talk about data. Flint Heights, I'll use their example. They have a kiosk in their office where the alarm comes up through CAD, through Greenbush CAD. They're not, but it's eventually going to be connected to county CAD. So the call comes up, the alarm activates, times and numbers are automatically in there. The officer or officer in charge doesn't have to put that in. Each member that comes and responds to the alarm has to sign in using their thumbprint on the kiosk. If their thumb doesn't work, they have to send a note to the chief saying why it didn't work. But it also shows that the crew member says whether they were in the station, what truck they were on, and that data is actually all collected. So you know who's on the first out truck, you know whether they're interior, exterior, fire police, whatever. It's pretty neat. It doesn't break it down like Bob was saying, like, oh, can you break it down to age?
Well,
Maybe you could.
you know that because,
Right, you know who's who.
yeah, I mean,
I just don't know if the computer program extrapolates that, but it might be able to be set up that way, I don't know. But, it's there. But again, you have to pay for certain modules to activate certain things, and I know they are very expensive, so. That's the other part of it, so.
We just bought enough to get us up and running.
Yes.
But if we can take things further and really get use out of it, it's money well spent. I appreciate it, Jeff.
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else have anything?
yeah, when you're talking to them, like when we Clinton Heights and can you kind of come back with, geez, we probably would be best to start with this program, this program, and this program, so we got an idea rather than just.
Absolutely, yeah, it's not like I would suggest an all package because you only have so much time.
Right.
Especially as a volunteer doing it, to set up a part of a module. So you buy a whole ton of modules and say, okay, we're gonna set this up. Well, it might not actually go live for a year, so you just wasted a couple $1,000 paying for a module that's really not set up, ready to go yet. So incrementally is probably the best way to go. Just setting up the truck inspection module is gonna be time consuming. And we have Bill, willing to help out with that, and, I'm not that computer literate, it's with that, but, Sean from Point Heights is willing to help us get started to make it easier, so once we get one truck done, the others are gonna be easy, and then we can push that out, share it with the wine skill crews, and you guys can do it, and it'll be so much easier for you guys, so. Yes.
Anything else? All right, moving on to public session. Do you have anything? All right, hear anything? We need a motion for executive session. With Chief Wilson. Do you want anybody else to stay with you?
Well, the president can stay too, and the chief wants to, if they wish.
Second. Oh, actually, Bob.
All in favor?
It was a silent, it was a silent second.
Well, thank you, everybody else, for coming out.